All right, so buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving headfirst into a realm that's always fascinated me, and I'm sure a lot of you too. We're talking angels.
Ah, yes. The heavenly host.
Exactly. But we're not just talking about your garden variety wings and halo angels.
Yeah.
We're going deeper, looking into this online video claiming to reveal a lesser-known angel, one that's supposedly having a huge impact, maybe even on our everyday lives.
Right. This source, it kind of blends traditional angel stuff with a bit of a modern self-help twist. It's really interesting. It basically suggests that this angel, this kind of behind-the-scenes operator, might be influencing stuff like our money choices or even keeping us safe from dangers we don't even see coming.
That's a pretty wild idea, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what if those times we just barely avoided a disaster or got that lucky break we needed? What if those weren't just coincidences?
Yeah. The video calls these invisible miracles, says they could be orchestrated by this mysterious angel.
Okay, but hold on a second. Let's say we were being protected. How would we even know? Angels aren't exactly known for, like, making grand entrances, you know?
Totally. But the video, it gets into that too. It says there are these subtle signs of angelic communication, stuff we might be missing, like little hints.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more. What kind of hints?
Well, it points to things like seeing certain numbers over and over again, or feeling this sudden wave of peace, out of nowhere. Even just noticing weird coincidences that seem, I don't know, kind of significant.
Like what? Give me an example.
Like seeing the number 333 all the time. The video specifically mentions that, claims it could be like an angelic message, like they're trying to get our attention.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I see repeating numbers everywhere. Is it really an angel sending me a message, or is my brain just, like, wired to spot patterns?
Yeah.
How do you tell the difference between, like, a real sign and just random chance?
That's a great question. And honestly, the video doesn't give a clear answer. It kind of just emphasizes spiritual sensitivity as the key, but it also muddies the waters a bit. It's like, are we talking intuition, coincidence, maybe even a bit of that confirmation bias thing?
Yeah, like you're looking for signs so you see them everywhere, even if they're not really there.
Exactly. It's almost like the video is encouraging us to, see any good thing that happens as angelic intervention, which, I mean, that could be pretty misleading.
I hear you. Okay, so I'm open to the idea that angels might be communicating with us, but I also think we need to be careful not jump to conclusions, The video also ties these signs to practical stuff, like finances. Says they could warn us about bad investments or point us towards good ones.
Right, and that brings up some interesting stuff about free will. If this angel is messing with our money decisions, are we really in control? Is the video saying we're just puppets on strings with this angel pulling them?
That's a little creepy. Like, believing in angels watching over us, that's one thing, but thinking they might be messing with our bank accounts, that's a whole other level.
Yeah, I agree. I think the video might be oversimplifying the whole free will thing a bit.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's worth thinking about. The video, it seems to present this view of humans as kind of passive. Like, our choices are basically dictated by this angel's influence. It doesn't leave much room for us taking responsibility for our own actions.
And what about the consequences? Like, if things go wrong, who's to blame? The angel.
Yeah, it's a sticky situation. The video doesn't really explore that complexity, but it does make you wonder about the limits of angelic intervention, like how much influence do they really have?
Okay, good points. And speaking of angels, we can't forget about those guardian angels, right? The classic image. The video definitely doesn't shy away from that idea either.
Oh, yeah, it dives right in. Full on embraces this whole concept of a personal guardian angel assigned to every single person, like a constant companion watching over us, guiding our steps.
That's a comforting thought. Like, even when we feel totally alone or stressed out, there's this powerful being looking out for us, coming to the rescue when we need it most. Like a spiritual bodyguard, always on duty.
Yeah, and the video encourages people to, build a relationship with their guardian angel through prayer, meditation, that kind of thing. Even suggests asking the Holy Spirit to guide you through your angel.
So it's not just about sitting back and passively receiving their protection, but actively seeking their guidance, right? Like a two-way street.
Exactly. The video presents this more interactive, personal approach to the whole guardian angel thing. It's like, see them as a source of wisdom, direction, not just a shield.
I like that. And, of course, it ties us back to the financial stuff. It says our guardian angel can steer us towards good financial decisions, protect us from those bad investments, if we just learn to listen to them, those little whispers of guidance.
Right, but then there's another issue. If our guardian angel is supposed to be protecting us from financial harm, how come so many people still struggle with debt, make bad money choices? Does that mean they're not listening to their angel, or is angel like dropping the ball?
That's a tough one. I mean, if we're saying all our financial wins are because of an angel, then logically, we'd have to blame our losses on them too, right? Like, they weren't there for us or they messed up. That doesn't seem quite fair.
No, it does create a bit of a theological puzzle, doesn't it? The video kind of glosses over that, but it definitely raises some big questions about the nature of angelic intervention, like
Yeah.
where do their powers begin and end?
For sure. And it makes you wonder if our guardian angel's job is more than just personal protection, what else are they up to? The video suggests angels have this larger purpose, fulfilling God's will, on a scale way bigger than we can imagine.
Yeah, it takes us beyond just individual lives. It uses that verse from Hebrews 12:22, the one about being surrounded by a vast, innumerable company of angels. It's like there's this whole angelic army working behind the scenes, influencing stuff on a global level, maybe even shaping history.
Wow, that's a mind-blowing thought. Makes you wonder about all the unseen forces at play, the spiritual battles happening that we have no clue about.
It adds a whole other layer to how we understand the world, right? The video connects this back to our lives, suggesting angels might be opening doors for us, guiding us towards big decisions, maybe even influencing world events to line up with God's plan.
Okay, so is this angel basically shaping our destiny, like orchestrating events to push us towards a specific outcome? Or do we still have a say in things?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The video seems to say both are true. Like, we have free will, but angels are also working to guide us down a predetermined path.
So it's like this cosmic dance, a collaboration between our choices and divine intervention.
Exactly. And the video emphasizes that by, increasing our spiritual sensitivity through things like fasting and prayer, we can become more in tune with this dance, more receptive to the angel's guidance and how God's plan is unfolding.
It's like we're being invited to become more conscious participants in this cosmic ballet.
Right. And that brings up another important point the video makes. This common misconception that angels are just like the souls of people who died. It uses Psalm 8.5 to debunk that idea.
Which, when you think about it, makes a lot of sense. I mean, if angels were just departed souls, it would raise a whole bunch of other questions about the afterlife, wouldn't it? What's the point of being here on Earth if we're just going to become angels?
Exactly. The video stresses that God created angels as separate beings with their own purpose, distinct from human souls. So angels are designated for protection, guidance, all that. But the souls of those who've passed on, they move on to a completely different realm.
That distinction is really important, I think. It draws a clear line between the human world and the angelic realm. It debunks that romanticized notion that our loved ones become angels watching over us.
For sure. And that leads us to a topic that always gets people talking and maybe a little scared, the fallen angels. The video definitely doesn't shy away from this darker side of the angel story. It dives right into the fall of Lucifer, that whole cosmic battle.
Yeah, that's a story that's captivated people for centuries, right? This powerful angel, Lucifer, consumed by pride, wanting to overthrow God. It's a classic tale of betrayal, ambition, and the consequences of choosing darkness over light.
And equally captivating is the story of Michael, the warrior angel, leading the forces of good against Lucifer's rebellion. This cosmic battle, the way the video describes it, it wasn't just a one-time thing. It's an ongoing struggle that still affects us today.
So you're saying those temptations we face, those doubts and fears that creep in, those could all be connected to that original conflict between Lucifer and Michael. Like it's a spiritual battle playing out inside each of us.
That's the idea the video puts forward. It suggests this ancient battle is still happening on a spiritual level, and we're caught in the middle.
Wow, that's kind of a daunting thought. It's like we're not just fighting our own personal demons, but grappling with the fallout of a cosmic war. It makes you wonder, are we even equipped to handle that kind of spiritual warfare?
And that's where the video offers some reassurance. It says that even though Lucifer and those fallen angels are still out there tempting and deceiving, Michael and the good angels are fighting for us too, especially when we pray and fast, for strength.
So it's not a hopeless fight. We're not alone in this.
Not at all. The video reminds us that we have powerful allies in the spiritual realm, and by connecting with them through prayer, faith, and spiritual disciplines, we can tap into their strength and overcome those forces of darkness.
It's like having a spiritual SWAT team on call, ready to back us up when things get tough.
Exactly. Then, the video shifts gears and focuses on Michael specifically, highlighting his role as the ultimate defender of God's justice. He's this powerful symbol of protection for God's people.
It's interesting. The video portrays Michael as both a warrior and a protector. Like he's this fierce defender of God's will, but also a compassionate guardian. It makes you wonder, have you ever felt this sense of peace just out of nowhere, like a calm in the middle of a storm? Could that be Michael intervening, pushing back the darkness?
That's precisely what the video suggests. It even goes on to talk about Michael's role in protecting people during times of crisis, like economic downturns or social upheaval. It's like he's our guardian on a global scale, working to keep things from falling apart.
So not just our personal bodyguard, but a cosmic peacekeeper too.
It seems so, and the video encourages us to pray specifically for Michael's help, in any area where we're struggling, whether it's personal or something affecting the whole world, reminding us that he's always ready to fight for us.
So no matter what we're facing, money problems, relationship issues, global pandemics, Michael's got our back.
That's the message the video's sending. It's a call to trust in his power and protection, to lean on him when we feel overwhelmed. Now, talking about angels influencing events, the video shifts to the impact they've had on major historical events.
Well, of course, the biggest example is Gabriel announcing the birth of Jesus. That's a pivotal moment in history. And it all started with an angel delivering a message to Mary.
It's a powerful reminder that angels can be agents of change, shaping history in ways we might not even fully grasp.
It makes you wonder what other historical events might have had angelic influence. Were there other turning points where angels intervened, nudging things in a specific direction?
That's exactly the question the video asks. It suggests that angels might be working behind the scenes in current events too, maybe even shaping our collective destiny.
So those unexpected shifts in global power, those breakthroughs that seem impossible, those might not be random. They could be carefully orchestrated events guided by angels.
It's a thought-provoking idea, isn't it? It challenges us to look beyond what we see and consider the possibility of these unseen forces at work.
It's like we're being asked to see the world through a more mystical lens, recognizing that there's more to reality than what's right in front of us.
Precisely. The video invites us to embrace the mystery and wonder of the unseen realm, to realize that our lives are woven into a tapestry of spiritual forces that are much bigger than we imagine.
And speaking of powerful angels, the video then focuses on Gabriel, the messenger of good news. It emphasizes the huge impact his messages have had, from delivering prophecies to Daniel to announcing the birth of John the Baptist and, of course, Jesus.
And the interesting thing is how the video connects Gabriel's role to our own lives. It points out that we, too, are often waiting for messages, seeking guidance, especially when things are tough. It suggests that prayer can open us up to receiving that divine direction, just like Mary did when Gabriel visited her.
So it's not just about those ancient stories. It's about the possibility of angelic communication happening in our lives too. It's like maybe we can have those annunciation moments where a message from God delivered through an angel completely changes our path.
Right, and it raises the question, how do we become more open to those messages? How do we know if it's really divine guidance or just us, hoping for something?
That's where the video emphasizes spiritual sensitivity, finding that stillness inside so we can hear those whispers of guidance.
It also highlights Gabriel's role in interpreting visions and helping people understand God's plans. It's like a parallel to our own lives where we're always trying to make sense of things.
So if we're struggling to figure out our lives, understand where we're supposed to be going, maybe we should be praying for a visit from Gabriel, our own personal message bearer.
The video seems to suggest that's a possibility. It reassures us that just like Mary got life-changing news, we can too. It's a message of hope, reminding us that we're not alone in trying to navigate life's complexities.
It's mind-blowing to think about these powerful angels, Gabriel and Michael, playing such big roles in history and maybe even in our own lives. But the video doesn't stop there. It goes on to explain the idea of angelic hierarchies, focusing on two in particular, the seraphim and the cherubim.
Right. Those are often described as the highest-ranking angels, each with specific duties in the divine order.
The video describes the seraphim as constantly praising God. And it quotes Isaiah 6:2-3. It's an example. It says, "Seraphim stood above him, each having 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, and with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one called to another and said, 'Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory.'"
That's a powerful image, right? These beings totally consumed with awe and reverence for God, proclaiming his holiness. It's the purest form of worship.
It almost makes you want to join in. Now, the video also talks about cherubim, describing them as guardians of God's throne and holiness. They're often depicted in art with lots of wings and eyes, symbolizing their vigilance and all-seeing nature.
And they're also in the story of the Garden of Eden, guarding the entrance after Adam and Eve get kicked out.
So they're protectors of what's sacred, both physically and spiritually, making sure holiness is preserved and honored. But how do these angelic hierarchies relate to us? Are they just distant figures in some grand cosmic play, or do they have any relevance to our everyday lives?
Well, that's where the video makes a really interesting connection. It suggests that seraphim can inspire us to live a life of praise and worship. They remind us to approach God with humility and reverence.
So by reflecting on the seraphim and their devotion, we can deepen our own connection with God.
Exactly. And the video says cherubim can teach us to protect our faith, our values, to guard the sacredness within ourselves and the world. They remind us that holiness isn't just some abstract idea, it's a living reality that needs to be defended.
It's like they're setting an example for us to follow, showing us how to live in right relationship with God and with each other.
The video encourages us to think about the purpose and order of God's kingdom, which angels are a part of. It's a reminder that there's a bigger plan at play, this cosmic tapestry woven with threads of both the seen and unseen.
It's humbling to think about, isn't it, that we're part of something so much bigger than ourselves. And speaking of unseen threads, the video takes us back to a story from the book of Daniel, where we see another example of angelic intervention.
Oh, right. The story from Daniel 10, where his prayer is delayed by this powerful spiritual force.
Yeah, for 3 weeks he prays and fasts, but nothing. It's like his prayers are hitting a wall. Then finally an angel shows up and explains what's been going on. Turns out he was sent with the answer right away, but was held back by this being called the Prince of Persia.
That detail, it adds a whole other layer to the story, doesn't it? This Prince of Persia isn't just some human king, but a powerful spiritual being, a demonic force working against God. And it was only through Michael, the archangel, that the other angel could break through and deliver God's message to Daniel.
So even angels can face obstacles in the spiritual realm. It's like this unseen battle raging, this cosmic tug of war between good and evil.
That's the point the video makes. It highlights Michael's role in overcoming this spiritual roadblock. It shows his power and persistence in fighting for God's will to be done.
It's encouraging to know that even when it seems like our prayers aren't getting through, there might be this spiritual battle going on behind the scenes, and Michael's on our side, fighting to get those answers to us.
The video connects the story to our personal prayer lives. It suggests that those unanswered prayers might be a sign of spiritual struggle. It reminds us that Michael's working for us even when we don't see the results right away.
It's powerful, that reminder that we're not alone in our struggles, that even when we don't see immediate answers, God hears our prayers and is working things out in His time. But what about those forces working against God? Are there angels that chose darkness over light? The video doesn't avoid that question either.
No, it introduces us to one of the most mysterious and maybe unsettling figures in the angel world, Abaddon, the angel of the abyss.
Whoa, now that's where things get really interesting and maybe a little creepy. The angel of the abyss. That sounds like something out of a horror movie.
It definitely has a spooky vibe, right? The video describes Abaddon as the ruler of the abyss, a place of darkness and destruction. It's often associated with, like, hell or the underworld.
And the book of Revelation mentions him as the leader of these supernatural beings during divine judgment, unleashing plagues and destruction. Not exactly the kind of angel you want to run into.
Definitely not. But here's where the video gets interesting. It emphasizes that even Abaddon acts under God's command, carrying out his justice in the final days.
Wait, so even this scary angel of the abyss ultimately serves God's purpose? That's a hard one to wrap my head around.
It is complex, but the video emphasizes that God's power extends even to the darkest parts of the spiritual realm. Even those forces that seem destructive are ultimately serving his plan.
So it's not about fearing Abaddon or the abyss, but understanding that even these darker elements are part of God's bigger picture, a picture with both light and darkness.
Exactly. It's a reminder that we might not always understand God's ways or why he does things, but we can trust that even the scary parts of the spiritual world ultimately serve his purposes.
That's a tough concept, but also reassuring. It suggests that even amidst chaos and destruction, there's divine order at work, a plan unfolding that will lead to restoration and redemption.
And it brings us back to the main character in this cosmic drama, Michael, the warrior angel. He represents God's ultimate victory over evil. The video describes the epic final battle between Michael and the dragon, which is often interpreted as Satan in the book of Revelation.
It's the ultimate showdown, right? Michael versus the dragon, good versus evil, light versus darkness. The climax of this battle that's been going on since the beginning.
And the video emphasizes that Michael's victory isn't just symbolic. It's a real event with lasting effects for all creation.
It's an image of hope, assuring us that no matter how much evil there is in the world, no matter how dark things get, God's justice will win in the end.
And it connects this huge cosmic battle to our own personal struggles, reminding us that even in our toughest fights, Michael and the angels are fighting alongside us, giving us strength through prayer and faith.
It's a reminder that we're not alone in those dark times, that there's this cosmic support system cheering us on.
And that even when we face impossible obstacles, we can find strength knowing that God is with us and his angels are fighting for us, even if we can't see them.
It's a powerful and comforting message, especially in a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable. But if this cosmic battle is still happening, if angels are still active in our lives and in the world, what does that mean for us right now?
That's a great question, and it leads us to explore the role angels play in our everyday lives. But before we get into that, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back to continue our deep dive into the world of angels.
Okay, so we've been talking about this idea that angels could be more involved in our lives than we realize, maybe even guiding major events throughout history. But this video, it doesn't just talk about angels in general. It gets really specific about one angel in particular, one that most people probably haven't even heard of.
Yeah, that's what I found so fascinating about this source. It makes this bold claim that there's this lesser-known angel, and they're playing a crucial role, especially now as we're getting closer to what some believe are the end times. The video even suggests that if we understand this angel's mission, it could be key to navigating the challenges ahead.
All right, you've got me hooked. Who is this mysterious angel? Spill the beans. Does the video actually say their name?
Well, that's the thing. It builds suspense. It drops these hints about the angel's identity throughout the video, but never fully reveals their name. It focuses more on what the angel does, their impact, both in historical events and what's happening in the world right now.
That's a clever way to keep people watching. It's like a spiritual thriller, waiting for the big reveal. But even without a name, the video gives us some clues about this angel's nature and purpose. What stands out to you the most?
One thing that really struck me was the emphasis on finances. The video mentions this angel's involvement in guiding people toward wise financial decisions, protecting them from bad investments, even opening up opportunities for prosperity. It's not what we typically associate with angels, right?
No, not really. You usually hear about angels offering protection or delivering messages, not giving financial advice. It's interesting. It seems like this particular angel is concerned with our material well-being as much as our spiritual growth.
Right, and that brings up some interesting theological questions. Does this mean that if you're wealthy or successful financially, you have God's favor? And if this angel is influencing our money decisions, does that mean we don't have free will?
Those are definitely questions worth thinking about. The video doesn't really address them directly, which I think is a missed opportunity. But it definitely makes you think about the connection between our material and spiritual lives.
Absolutely. And this focus on finances is just one part of the puzzle. The video also talks about this angel's role in giving clarity and direction, especially when we're facing uncertainty.
Yeah, it talks about how this angel helps us see things more clearly, to know what's true and what's false, to make decisions that line up with God's will.
Exactly. It's almost like this angel acts as a spiritual compass, guiding us through all the doubt and confusion in the world today.
Which, let's face it, we could all use a little more of these days. With so much information overload and conflicting narratives, it's easy to feel lost. So this idea of an angel helping us cut through the noise and find clarity, it's pretty appealing.
It is, and the video even connects this ability to see the truth with the angel's role in fighting against spiritual deception. It suggests that this angel is actively working to expose lies, to reveal hidden agendas, and to protect people from being tricked by false teachings.
It's like this angel is our spiritual fact checker, helping us navigate the minefield of misinformation and propaganda that's everywhere.
I like that analogy, and this connects back to the financial aspect too. If this angel is helping us see through deception, they'd also help us avoid those financial scams and schemes designed to take advantage of us.
That makes sense. It's like they're protecting us on multiple levels, from both spiritual and material harm. But their mission doesn't stop there. The video connects their role with divine justice and the ultimate victory of good over evil.
Right. It suggests that this angel plays a key role in making sure God's will is done, both in our individual lives and on a global scale. It's almost like they're working to bring balance and harmony to the world, righting wrongs and fixing things where there's chaos.
It's a hopeful message, especially considering the state of the world. There's so much injustice, so much suffering, it can be hard to believe that things will ever get better.
I agree. But the video seems to be saying, don't give up hope. It suggests that even though we don't always see it, there's a divine plan unfolding, and this angel is working to make it happen.
So even when things are darkest, even when it feels like evil is winning, we can trust that God's still in control, working through his angels to bring about his ultimate purpose. That's a reassuring message.
Definitely. And it challenges us to look beyond what's happening right now, beyond the immediate chaos, and see the bigger picture, the story of redemption that God is writing through history.
It's powerful, and I think it speaks to people searching for meaning and purpose in a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable.
It does, and it brings us back to the central mystery. Who is this angel? We've talked about what they do, but we still don't have a name.
I know. It's killing me.
Yep.
It's like the video's leaving us hanging on purpose, wants us to figure it out ourselves.
Which, maybe that's the whole point. Maybe it's not about knowing the angel's name, but about recognizing what they're doing in our own lives.
So we should be focusing on the substance, not the label, looking for signs of this angel's influence in our own experiences.
Exactly. It's about recognizing those times when we feel guided, protected, or inspired to do something good. It's about trusting that even if we don't know exactly where it's coming from, there's a force for good working in our lives.
It's about having faith, even when we don't have all the answers, which can be a tough thing to do.
It can, but maybe that's where real growth happens. When we step outside our comfort zones, beyond what our minds can grasp, and embrace the possibility of something bigger than ourselves.
So it's not about abandoning logic or reason, but about bringing together the spiritual and the material, recognizing that there's more to reality than what we can see.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging those forces that are beyond our understanding. And maybe by opening ourselves up to those forces, we can access a wisdom and a power that can help us reach our full potential.
It's about recognizing that everything is connected, the unseen threads that weave our lives together and shape the destinies of nations. It's about embracing the mystery and wonder of the unseen world and trusting that even in the darkest times, there's a divine light guiding us towards something better. It really is a beautiful idea. This whole unseen world, these angels and divine intervention, it definitely makes you look at things differently. But I have to admit, it's a lot to process.
Yeah, it's a big shift in how we see things. We're so focused on what we can see and touch, the tangible stuff. But this video, it's asking us to consider that there's this whole other realm, a realm of spiritual forces that could be affecting our lives in huge ways.
And it's not just about accepting that these forces exist, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about actually engaging with them, cultivating a relationship with this unseen realm. But how do we do that? How do we connect with an angel if we don't even know their name?
That's where the video's emphasis on spiritual practices comes in. It keeps talking about prayer, fasting, and meditation. It says those are ways to make ourselves more spiritually sensitive and open to the guidance of this angel.
So it's not about waiting for some big sign like a lightning bolt or hearing a voice from heaven. It's about developing a deeper awareness, learning to hear the whispers of the divine.
Right. It's about finding that stillness inside ourselves, that quiet space where we can hear those subtle nudges, those intuitive insights that might be guiding us towards something bigger.
But how do we know if it's really the angel communicating or just our own thoughts and desires? I mean, it's easy to get caught up in wishful thinking, to see what we want to see.
That's where discernment is key. The video talks about testing those intuitive feelings against what the Bible says, the advice of spiritual mentors, and the guidance of the Holy Spirit.
So it's not about blindly following every random thought that pops into our heads. It's about developing a discerning spirit, being wise and balanced in how we approach spiritual guidance. It's like we have to become spiritual detectives.
I like that. And this whole discernment thing, it's not a one-time thing. It's something we have to keep practicing. It's about getting into the habit of checking ourselves, being honest about our motivations, and seeking wisdom from within and from others.
Which brings us back to this mysterious angel. Even though we don't know their name, the video gives us a pretty clear picture of who they are and what they do.
Yeah, this angel is like a multifaceted figure concerned with both our spiritual and material well-being. They protect, they guide, they reveal truth, and they fight for justice.
They're like the ultimate representation of what angels are all about,
Yeah.
This blend of strength and compassion, wisdom and action.
Right, and it's through those actions that we can recognize their presence in our lives. The video seems to be saying that knowing their name isn't as important as recognizing their influence.
So instead of getting hung up on their identity, we should be looking for evidence of them at work in our everyday lives.
Exactly. Look for those synchronicities, those unexpected blessings, those moments of clarity and guidance that seem to come out of nowhere.
Like those times when you narrowly avoid an accident, or when you get that perfect piece of advice right when you need it. Or maybe you suddenly feel inspired and it leads to some amazing breakthrough.
Those might be more than just coincidence. They could be signs that this angel is at work, subtly guiding and protecting us, even when we don't realize it.
That's a pretty amazing thought, to think that we might be surrounded by these unseen helpers, these spiritual allies working behind the scenes to support us.
It definitely changes how we see things. And it encourages us to approach life with a sense of wonder and possibility, knowing that we're part of something much bigger than ourselves.
That really resonates with me. I think we all want to feel connected, to know that we're not alone in this journey. And this idea that we have angels looking out for us, guiding us towards our potential, it's both comforting and empowering.
I agree. It challenges us to live with intention, knowing that our choices matter, that we're not just drifting through life, but playing a role in this grand story.
So maybe the next time we face a challenge, make a big decision, or experience one of those moments where everything seems to line up perfectly, we should pause and consider that there might be more going on than we realize. Maybe there's an unseen hand guiding us, a whisper of divine inspiration leading us in the right direction.
And maybe by becoming more aware of this unseen realm, by opening ourselves to the possibility that angels are real and active in our lives, we can tap into a wisdom and strength that can change us and the world around us for the better.
That's a beautiful thought to end on. It's been an amazing journey exploring this whole world of angels with you. Even though this video leaves us with more questions than answers, I think it's ignited a sense of wonder in me. It's definitely given me a lot to think about.
It's been a pleasure exploring this with you. And to everyone listening, I hope you'll keep thinking about these ideas, keep exploring the mysteries of the unseen realm, and keep an open mind to the possibility that there's more to life than meets the eye.